Hey guys, my name's Amanda. So I've got a quicker practice for you guys today. It's a 20-minute video. So this is perfect for a day when maybe you might not have a ton of time. So let's just start lying on our backs and we'll just hop right into this. So starting on our back in Shavasana, take a couple moments here to arrive on your mat. Let's start to connect with our breath. And let's just watch a few more breaths go by. Let's start to add some movement. You could wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Let's start to hug our knees in towards our chest. Now let's take both feet to the mat and we'll set up for wind reliever pose. So let's bring our right knee in towards our chest. That left foot can stay on the mat or you can extend the leg. Keep drawing that knee in towards you. Let's take another breath here. And then let's move to half happy baby. So start to bring your foot towards the ceiling, bending at the knee, and we'll either grab a hold of the shin or maybe you can grab the outer edge of that right foot. And let's start to draw the knee towards the floor. See if you can keep this left hip anchored to the mat. And then let's release, bringing back both feet on the mat. This time we'll draw our left knee in towards our chest, extend the right leg, or again, you can keep that foot on the mat. Staying here for another couple breaths. Now let's start to take that foot towards the ceiling. And again, you could grab a hold of the outer edge of that left foot, or maybe you could grab a hold of the shin or the ankle if that's not available. And again, we're just drawing that left knee towards the mat. Right hip stays planted. Take another breath here. And then let's bring both feet back to the mat. Let's start to come up to our elbows. And we'll set up for a boat pose. So we'll have the forearms down on the mat. So extend the legs. You could also have a bend in through the knees. And then let's slowly start to lower the legs to the count of 3. So 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back up, and we'll do that again. Take the legs down, a third of the way, 2/3, hover, and come all the way back up. Now let's come back down to our backs. Now let's take the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Now you could roll to one side and meet us in a seated position, or you could start to rock and roll along the length of the mat. Eventually you'll make your way up to a seat. Now let's move to a tabletop position. So in our tabletop, again, we'll stack the shoulders right above the wrists. Our knees are right below the hips. And let's do another little bit of core. So we'll tuck our toes, start to lift the knees just about an inch or two from the mat. Press into the hands, feeling nice and strong, nice and stable. And find your breath. Take one more breath. Lower the knees back to the mat. You could untuck the toes. And we'll take a few cat-cows here. So inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, curl the spine, chin comes to your chest. Let's do a few more. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. This should feel really nice, stretching out those ab muscles. Exhale, curl the spine. Let's take one more. And exhale. From here, let's set up for down dog. So you might end up walking your hands a little bit forward. Press into the hands. Let's start to draw our chest towards the thighs as we start to slowly lower our heels down towards the mat. You can totally have a bend in through the knees. Take a few breaths here. On your inhale, let's come forward to a plank. And we'll slowly lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. There's always the option to drop the knees if you want to come into more of a modified variation. So coming all the way down. And then we'll set up for Cobra. So our hands are just under the shoulders. And as you inhale, press into the top of the feet. Let's lift the chest. Exhale, come on down. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Gaze is down at the mat. And exhale, come on down. Inhale, lift the chest. And exhale, come on down. Now let's press into the hands. Come back to a tabletop position. We'll meet in a down dog. So tuck the toes, press the hips up. Bring your gaze to the front of the mat, and we'll step forward into a forward fold. On your next inhale, take your hands to your shins, coming up to a halfway lift. On your exhale, fold forward. On the inhale, sweep the arms, come on up to stand. Hands come down through the heart. Now let's set up for chair pose. So bring your big toes together to touch. We'll have a little bit of space between our heels. On your inhale, reach the arms up, sink the hips down, sitting down into chair. See if you can lower the shoulders away from the ears. On your next exhale, take the hands together, take the hands down through your chest, and we'll add a twist. So we'll be twisting to the left, and we'll link our right elbow to our left knee. You can also be upright as well. Just ensure that your knees are in line with one another. Maybe you sit down a little further. And on your next exhale, come back through center, forward fold. Let's take the feet back, hip distance apart. And then let's step the left foot back. So we'll be coming into a runner's lunge. So your hands could be on the ground or blocks, and you can always drop down onto that left knee. Now we'll add a twist. So let's plant that left hand down. You could bring it out a little bit. And then we'll twist open to the right, reaching that right arm up. From here, let's release. We'll step back to down dog. So let's come forward to plank. Let's move to side plank. So we'll start to roll open to the right. You could have your feet stacked one in front of the other. Lift that right arm up. Maybe you stack both feet. Or you can always have that left knee down. Let's release. Come back to down dog. On your next inhale, look to the front of the mat. Let's step forward, forward fold. On your next inhale, let's take a halfway lift. Hands come to the shins. Lift the chest. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms, come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through the heart. We'll set up for chair pose again. So bring the big toes to touch. Inhale, reach up. Sink down into your chair. Find your breath. Now on your next exhale, take the hands down through your heart. We'll twist to the right this time. And let's take that left elbow to the right knee. See if you can twist a little deeper here. On your next inhale, come back through center, fold forward. Take your feet back, hip distance apart. This time we'll step the right foot back into a runner's lunge. So your hands are on the ground. Again, there's always the option to drop that right knee. Keep breathing. Let's take a twist. So plant that right hand down. Left arm lifts up. Again, always the option to have that right knee down. Take the left hand back to the mat. We'll step to down dog. Now let's sit up again for that side plank. So we'll move forward into plank. This time we'll open up on the left side. So left arm starts to lift. Again, you can have your feet crossed, maybe stacked. Keep lifting through the hips. And let's take the hand back down, down dog. So let's stay in down dog for a moment. Lift the sit bones. Press your chest towards your thighs. And from here we'll move into pigeon. So let's start to lift that right leg. Take that right knee forward, just behind the right wrist. Place that knee down. And then let's start to lower that right hip down. So just have a peek behind your left shoulder that left leg is coming straight out from the hip. You can always place a block under this right hip. So feel free to stay here, or you can fold forward. Now, if you know pigeon is not available for you, or if you have any knee issues, you could come to deer pose. So in deer, we'll take our right shin parallel with the front edge of the mat, and our left shin will be parallel to the long edge of the mat. And same thing here, you can sit upright, or you can fold forward. If you're in deer, just make sure you're flexing this front foot, this right foot. Take a few more breaths in your pigeon pose or deer pose. And then let's start to make our way up. We'll tuck that left toe and we'll slowly make our way to down dog. You might want to walk out the legs. Sometimes that feels really nice. And then let's find some stillness in this down dog. Taking pigeon now with the left leg. So lift that left leg, three-legged dog. Left knee comes right behind the left wrist. And we'll start to lower that left hip down. Again, deer is always an option. And in our pigeon, you can always stay upright or you can start to fold forward. Now let's slowly start to make our way up. Press into your hands, tuck your right toe, and let's make our way to down dog. From here, let's take the knees to the mat, cross your ankles, and let's have a seat. Taking the legs out in front of you, staff pose. Let's bend the right knee and let's cross that right foot across the left leg. Left hand can come to the right knee. Right hand comes behind you. Sitting up nice and tall. Come back through center, bring the leg back out, and let's take the other side. So let's bring the left knee up, cross that left foot over the right leg, left hand comes behind you. Right hand stays on the left knee. Sitting up nice and tall. Find one more breath here. Let's come back through center. Now let's start to make our way down to our backs. And we'll take Shavasana. So let's extend the arms, extend the legs. Just take a little bit of rest here. Close the eyes. Let's slowly start to awaken the body. You could deepen your breath here. Add a little bit of movement to the fingers, to the toes. Maybe you circle the wrists. Take a nice stretch, reach the arms overhead. You could squeeze the knees into your chest. Maybe you add a little bit of a rock back and forth. And eventually we'll make our way to one side. Whenever you're ready, we'll start to make our way up to a seated position. You could start to blink the eyes open. Thank you guys. Namaste.